who's going to speak with us today, Ellie Ballas. He is the co-founder of F Jerry, which is what we're going to call it tonight, and What Do You Meme and Jerry Studios. So if you join me on stage, Ellie. Thank you so much for coming. Do we have a mic? Ellie needs a mic. Can you give him a mic?
Hello, hello.
So thank you so much for coming. Very, very excited. For those two people in the audience who don't know what F Jerry is, would you mind giving a brief explanation?
Yeah, for sure. I think I should preface this by saying that my conversation is not going to be rooted in technology. I mean, first and foremost, I'd like to congratulate that lecture. That was superb.
Wild.
I really have not. I haven't heard someone speak like that since my time in college. But in all seriousness, I'm not going to be talking about technology. If you're not interested in what I'm going to be talking about entrepreneurship. If you're interested in a good story about entrepreneurship, then take a listen. If you're interested in technology, unfortunately, I cannot provide that to you right now.
We like you anyway.
But let me tell you my story. I do think it is very interesting. My name is Ellie Ballas. I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. I went to Flatbush High School. Thank God I did very well in my studies. I was a superb student. I got into many different universities. I actually got into Stanford University out in California. And I picked up and I moved out west and I went to California. And there, I actually did fall in love with technology. I never knew what computer science was because, as Jack mentioned, there is not a prevalent education in computer science in our yeshivas today. So when I went there as a freshman, I took my first introduction class in computer science, and I was absolutely blown away. Like, I couldn't believe what I was doing. I was bringing things to life that where you couldn't fathom. You mentally could not comprehend the stuff that you're doing. The stuff that Jack just showed you, the machine learning, building a model that takes data, millions of pieces of data, and then make a prediction. It was just, I fell in love right away. And then, so the knowledge and the education in computer science, coupled with the fervor in Silicon Valley, being surrounded by all these startups and all these founders, made me fall in love with the whole thing, with tech entrepreneurship in general. Actually, 2 years younger than me was Kevin Systrom at Stanford. He created Instagram. And 1 year above me was the creator of Snapchat, Evan Spiegel. He actually was in the fraternity next door to my fraternity. So I met the guy a couple of times. Like, I met Kevin Systrom a couple of times. We also had a great football team. Andrew Luck was the quarterback, so that was really fun. Overall, it was a great college experience. I fell in love with tech entrepreneurship, and I said, this is what I want to do. I want to be in tech. I want to be in VC. It's so inspiring. I graduate, right, and I'm conflicted because I'm born and raised. I'm Syrian. My father's actually from Syria. My mother's from Egypt. We're a very, very straight home, very religious, and I'm very tied to my community and to my family. And I want to stay out west, but my heart takes me back here, back to New York. So I moved back here, and thank God it was the right decision. I'm very happy about that. I did do an internship out west before moving back at a company called Mixpanel, and it was an analytics and optimization company. Jack mentioned briefly about testing your user experience of your website, where you could test everything, like the color of the button, the text, the size, something called multivariate testing, where you can take everything that your website has and test it and optimize. So I worked for a company called Mixpanel for about 3 months before moving back here. Then I joined an agency called Fueled, a technology agency that built mobile applications for all sorts of companies. A client of ours was Barney's New York, their e-commerce site. Another company was a startup called Afterlight, which is a photo editor. I enjoyed that. About 8 months in, my very, very good friend, my whole life, his name is Elliot Tabelli, he had an Instagram brand called F Jerry, and this thing was blowing up at the time. It had about 400,000 followers, and a lot of notable followers, like big-time celebrities, Katy Perry and Miley Cyrus, and even a Kardashian or a couple of Kardashians, and people were starting to take this thing seriously, like, whoa, this is more than just an Instagram account. This could be serious. I didn't like my job because I didn't like working under somebody above me. My boss was not a good person to work with. I didn't enjoy that experience. I felt the need to do something on my own. I felt a desire of back in Silicon Valley, back in like doing your own thing and raising, raising money and making it on your own. I felt that desire, and also my very good friend Elliot had something super cool going on. So he left his job. He was working in wholesale for his brother. I left my job, and we said, let's make this a company. What did that mean? How the heck can F. Jerry be a company, right? And this was in 2014. For about a year and a half, we tested all sorts of things. We tested advertising, so any brand or startup that wants to promote their product or service on our Instagram account, we figure out an ad deal. So I basically had to learn the digital media business, because now, even though it's an Instagram account, what we do have is content and media, and we're selling ad space against that, and that is digital media. So I'm talking to agencies and brands, and I'm convincing them, advertise with us. You're going to get this number of impressions and likes and comments, and it's going to be great, and it's going to be a good return on investment for your company. And that was the business. We also had a merchandise line. We made T-shirts, we made hoodies, all sorts of stuff. Nothing crazy. I mean, like a few hundred pieces here, a few hundred pieces there. We tried to dabble in events. We tried to dabble in stand-up comedy shows. So all different things. Nothing really took off. Okay. We started a marketing agency with a couple of other guys. So now we're more legitimate. Like, we'll do actual services for your brand. You need an Instagram account, you need a Facebook account, we'll do that for your brand. In around the winter of 2016, we actually cut a deal with an entrepreneur out in Silicon Valley. His name is Ben Kaplan. He had a startup called WeGo, and this startup was a tech company, consumer-facing app to connect people to go out and have a good time. And he raised money from all the top VCs, I think Sequoia and maybe even Andreessen Horowitz and a couple of other big-time VCs. And we strike an equity deal. So I'm thinking of my knowledge back in the Valley, back at Stanford. Okay, give us a little portion of your business. We'll market your company. The equity is going to vest over 4 years. Like, I'm all amped up on this. And we did this for a few other companies as well. But the reason why this one is so significant is because even though Ben's company folded, Ben moved from San Francisco to New York, and he joined us to build the advertising side of our business. So he knew how to develop the relationships with the necessary agencies to really accelerate the business. And we took our business from zero to a few $1 million in 1 year, really. And that was huge. That was like, holy cow, this is very legitimate. What else can we do? What other content channels can we create? How can we charge more? Excuse me. Can we charge more for brands? How can we take this to the next level? Over the summer, we're at Kickstarter. Okay, I don't know if you guys know Kickstarter. It's a crowdfunding platform. Anyone that has an idea, you can literally make your own Kickstarter. You raise money. They don't take equity or anything, and in return, you give early access to people that donated money for whatever you're trying to raise for. So if you want to make Ellie's T-shirt company, Ellie's T-shirt company wants to raise $50,000. You donate to it, and when I release my T-shirt, I send you the first batch. So we go to Kickstarter. We're sitting around. We're talking. They're saying, you guys should do something. You know, with F. Jerry, you have this huge following. You should totally create your own product. So they say that card games, okay, physical card games are very successful with Kickstarter. And they point to a game called Cards Against Humanity, another game called Joking Hazard, another game called Exploding Kittens. So we're sitting there, and for most of you, I think, that are familiar with F. Jerry, you know that there are memes on the account. There's an image with a text on top that it's supposed to be funny. The pairing of the text with the image makes you laugh. That's a meme, okay? So we're sitting there, Elliot and myself and Ben, and we're like, well, let's make a meme game, right? And we're joking, and we're walking back. The office is in Greenpoint in Brooklyn, beautiful office. We're walking. We say, okay, let's actually make this meme game, right? And this is what we have here today. This is a year and a half later. What do you meme? Beyond my wildest dreams, it was actually the best-selling item in all toys and games on Amazon for 2017, which is really the farthest thing that I could have ever imagined. Literally a meme game from a meeting in Kickstarter ends up being a best-selling item on Amazon's press release. They came out with their press release. This is the best-selling item in this category, best-selling item in that category, and there it is. What do you mean best-selling worldwide for 2017? So just super surreal. thinking back to 3 years ago, I'm focusing on advertising. Thinking about 5 years ago, I actually graduated with a degree called symbolic systems, and most of my studies were in computer science, right? And now I'm selling cards, right? Like I'm printing paper in China and I'm selling the paper at a higher price. That's what I'm doing right now. But what I can say is that I still am obsessed with technology, and I do believe that the problem solving that I gained in my computer science classes made me so confident in solving any problem. Like, anytime there's a problem in business, and every single day there's a problem in business that you have to make a decision on, yes, no, no, yes, yes, every day is another thing you gotta decide on, and you have to think, and you have to really think very intensely and come up with a solution and a decision. And I think that going to Stanford, which is such a hard school, and studying the most difficult thing at that institution gave me the confidence to solve any problem in business today. So that's the quick gist of my story. And again, I do apologize. It was not about technology, but I hope that it was somewhat inspirational for any young entrepreneur, old entrepreneur that's just hustling and persisting and trying to make something. I could keep going on.
Yeah, I want to ask a few questions.
For sure.
So there's two major discussions that I want to have based off what you just said. First of all, awesome story. You should be really proud of yourself. Really incredible what you did. My first question is pertaining to media. A lot of times when you look at all these different accounts that are set up, actually when social media first came out, a lot of people looked at it like, okay, everybody's going to have their own magazine. Everyone has their own publishing platform. When paper first started becoming commoditized and everybody had access to it, everybody said, well, everybody can publish on their own. And then this is that times 10. And a lot of times when I do branding, when I'm sitting with a client, I say, every company has to be a media company before they're anything else. Whatever you do, whatever you communicate has to be put into media, and then you could start selling whatever you need to sell. Did you guys start the company? Did you guys start, I know originally it was a Tumblr page. Did you start it with a passion for media? Did you start it with a passion for content, and it led to a business? What was going on?
For sure. So Elliot started actually a Tumblr account in the spring of 2011, and it was early days of Tumblr. Instagram wasn't even around, and he used it as basically a repository to collect, he used it as like a library for him to collect his favorite images. So there was no meme, there was no comedy, like there were just really tasteful pictures of Michael Jordan and Venice Beach and a palm tree. Like it was like a beautiful collection.
Aesthetics.
Of aesthetics. And then he kept hustling on this Tumblr account for like 2 years. Finally, Instagram is kind of prevalent. He makes an Instagram account, and then he starts posting meme content, funny content. The funny content gets better engagement than the other content, a lot of likes, a lot of comments, until eventually he exclusively posts funny content. And he was doing this for like literally 5 years without any sight of cash, any sight of dollar, every single day, hustling, posting, to no end. Again, with no concept, there's no what do you meme, there's no all these other things that
at this
are being worked
point,
on.
you're literally day trading attention.
Say it again?
At this point, you're literally day trading attention. You're saying where can we get the most attention, and how can we attain it, and how can we sell it?
Yeah, I mean, I think that he's trying to grab attention by posting what he thought was the most relatable content to his demographic, like the late teen, mid 20s, late 20s. Again, without any business aspiration. So he did build the brand before, and it's tough.
What I'm trying to get at is you guys kind of discovered this whole market of underpriced attention. It's something, a lot of times you look at advertising or you look at marketing, what it is, okay, where's everybody looking, and how can I get my brand there? You guys invented where everybody looks, and then you put brands there. And then from there, you kind of built off of that. Am I right?
Yeah, I'd agree on that. Elliot was posting on Instagram before most people were posting on Instagram, and he used it to curate imagery before people were curating. Back in those days, people were posting photos that they took. You posted the picture of the sunset that you took. Nobody was posting a sunset of somebody else. So because he took that approach of finding the best of what he believed was around, I think that definitely gave him the edge. Now you look at Instagram and it's just flooded with all sorts of meme accounts, but the F. Jerry account has so much clout because it was really first to market.
So what it sounds like is you guys built this platform, and when you started talking about business and started talking about revenue and how do we generate revenue, you kind of went the route of advertising, of media. Now we have this media
Yeah.
platform. How do we do it? At what point did you say, I'm Syrian, how do I make this Syrian? To kind of start doing games. At what point did you realize I'm a community kid and I got to start doing community business and apply that logic and that skill set to something that is so not Syrian, so not community?
I mean, the second that this game, which is a physical product, started selling more than I ever thought could sell, that's when instantly I said to myself, okay, there's so many Syrians that work in wholesale that are successful, and I got to figure something out here. And then actually, I reached out to somebody, and he connected me with Exceed, and Exceed connected me with Harry Towell, sitting right here. And Harry's been a mentor to me, and even though he sells outerwear, we're all selling things, and there's so much to learn from, so much to learn from him about commerce, about the commerce business.
Is it hard to adjust that community mindset of business to a world that is so not Syrian? I mean, you look at the media and tech world; it's the furthest thing from the community. So, is it hard to have that mindset and exist as a community businessman inside that world?
It's hard because in the opposite side of the spectrum in technology, it's all about providing value. It's all about what problem can we solve, right? How can we make someone's life better, someone's life more efficient, someone's product cheaper? That's like the tech philosophy, and the Syrian philosophy is like how can we make as much money as possible?
Exactly.
How can we negotiate? Like it's
jarring.
But if you take the best of both of those and combine them, you're destined for success. Because the tech guys don't think like the sharks, and the sharks don't think like the tech guys. But if you combine both mentalities, I think it's an.
Would you say you think both ways, or you're more focused on one and Elliot's more focused on another?
When things reach scale, there's no way you can do
Divide
everything. You got to focus and hone in. Yeah.
Awesome. I'm done with my questions. Does anybody in the audience have any questions? In the back.
For sure. So.
Repeat the question.
About my licensing program and how I'm expanding. What do you mean? So one thing I did want to bring up, just like takeaway points, is that to never settle. Okay, never get complacent and say, "Oh, things are good. I made a successful product. I'm making money. Things are great. Let me go on vacation all the time." Like, actually, go on vacation. Vacation's great. And buy things. But I'm a big proponent of that. if you make money, spend it to a reasonable amount. But anyway, back to what you're saying about licensing out our product. So what I want to emphasize is we could just say here, like, this thing can sell and be the best-selling item on Amazon for years to come, and we can be happy, right? But no, how can we expand on this? How can we make other versions of this game, right? And we actually made Game of Thrones licensed version of What Do You Meme. We have 3 other licenses of What Do You Meme. So we have a whole pipeline of different versions of What Do You Meme. And then beyond that, it's what other games can we create? All of a sudden, we're in the games industry. Did we ever really, really want to be in the games industry and like have a passion for games? Not necessarily, but this is the opportunity. You find the love in it. You find the value in it. And now it's your opportunity to seize on that potential. So what we're doing is actually creating more games. We have 5 games actually lined up for the rest of 2018. And then last point on don't settling, this is the best-selling item on Amazon, but it's nowhere near the best-selling item in retail. If we even just maximize Target, for example, Target can be bigger than Amazon. And that's just Target. There's the whole other world of retail. And one point on this I do want to emphasize is that everyone is pointing out the death of retail, the retail apocalypse. I think that's BS. I think that retail is slowly dying. I still think there's so much opportunity in retail, and to not be wary and hesitant of going into a retail business.
Awesome. Any other questions? You're right there. Yep.
Licensing out the F. Jerry brand for merchandise. So we've tried that to not so successful, but who knows? Maybe it just wasn't the right product and the right partner.
Yeah, right there.
What's your advice for kids and people who are trying to start a brand today in 2018?
That's a tough one. it's particularly tough because the whole world of influencer, everyone, like what you were saying before about building a brand online, building, you want to put content down as a brand on Instagram and Facebook, and that was like 2 years ago. Now every single brand and every single person has their own brand on social, so it's just flooded. And then you go on Instagram, you'll notice every single day there's more content, so it's so saturated. I don't know. Honestly, it's a tough question. I think you got to find a real angle where you're actually providing something valuable that the customer has never really experienced before. Yeah, I don't know.
I just
Sorry.
want to elaborate a little bit on that. I think that we can actually connect your question to what Jack spoke about. What I spoke with Jack about is how technology, the more and more it advances, the more and more human-like it gets. And you look at social media and you look at all these online brands, and they're really just online faces of people. You look at a company, I don't know if anyone's familiar with MoonPie on Twitter. They're literally, it's some funny kid tweeting. You look at F. Jerry. F. Jerry sounds like a really cool kid who could show me some really funny memes. All these are faces of people that are online. So to do it right, you talk about building a brand, and there's a lot of nonsense out there. You say that was so 2 years ago. Doing it that way was very 2 years ago. But the reason it was successful is because somebody is that way and said, this is going to work for me. So I think just to kind of articulate what you were saying is I think the best advice is to just be yourself and kind of scale that as much as possible, right?
Yeah, I say so for sure. It's tough because it is so saturated, but authenticity is always the
Guarantee.
the driving force.
Any other questions?
Success.
So you tried a bunch of things, and a lot of things didn't work, and some things did, and you guys ended up finding the what do you mean game and that being the big hitter. You find that things like advertisements and around creating original content and things like that are not even worth pursuing because the money is where the product side of things is.
I think that's a great question. I think that there's so much opportunity in content, but we've hit a nerve with products, and we have to maximize on this right now. And in order to achieve the potential of the content side, like creating real like premium shows or web shows, we'd have to bring in the right team for that. And I don't think we've put in the necessary effort to bring in the right team. And I want to follow up on that by saying that like it's so easy to hire, not easy, but it's kind of easy to hire people. Like you put out a job application, who wants to join us, do this, who wants to create content for us. But hiring like experienced people that have 15, 20 years of experience in whatever you're looking for is like a world of a difference, an absolute world of a difference. So I do think we should pursue the content side, but I think it requires a very intense, legitimate team to get done.
I think we have time for one more question. Yeah, right there.
So part of the most interesting thing that you spoke about is over the years, all the different things that you tried and the things that didn't work. That to me is the most inspirational part, that you finally found something that you see is incredibly promising. Tell us how you felt over the years, how many times you felt like you guys weren't going to make it, and how you persevered and became as successful as you are today.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, for a good like 2.5 years, we were either in an apartment or someone gave us a couple desks at the Yard or in this place Neuhaus every now and then. But it was tough every single day. Like what's going on here? Like F. Jerry is so popular, right? And everyone can think that it's like the greatest thing and it's so cool and there must be a success, but until you're actually producing consistent cash flow, it's risky business. So it was disheartening many times, but I don't know, somehow I was able to find faith and just focus and zone in, and thankfully, something hit.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time. There's a round of applause. Erwin wants a mic. There you go.
Thank you. Thanks, Ellie. Thanks a lot. So a couple things. Number one, please look at the screen, and anything that Exceed could do for you, please use the texting information and contact us. And if this is the first event you've been to, please email us so we can put you on a mailing list. Obviously, if you're on a mailing list, you'll get the next event coming up, right after the Passover holidays. The other thing I want to do is thank the speakers, thank Harry Towell, thank my staff, thank everybody here. VR World, of course, it was a great venue. And just to end on that, we have some time left that we have with VR World, correct? Okay. Anyone who would like to go to the moon or whatever else they do here, please go right over here, register, and they'll put you in the spaceship, or you could run around the place or do what you got to do. It's an incredible experience. Thanks a lot.